So this is, I think it's group journal number 4. So last week we talked about stress with school, other things, and I feel like I developed a more positive attitude when going into the group, because I think the last 3 weeks I kind of had a negative, not outlook, I don't even want to say perspective, but I just didn't want to really be a part of the group, and I found it annoying and frustrating, and like, I mean, it's like an hour long and we are paying for that hour, but I found the group to be helpful because I feel like I am personally struggling with a lot of stress and it's manifesting in a lot of different ways, so it was nice to talk about that with the group. I think I did a better job at not like, I think I still spoke over some people, but I was more aware of it. Normally I'm not as aware of it. It was interesting that Alex pointed out with Aaliyah that she was more quiet during the group and she's normally more talkative. So we talked about that process, and she kind of said nothing was bothering her, so you kind of just have to take her word on that. But there might have been something. It seemed like she wasn't being completely honest, but that's okay. That's her right to keep her privacy with that kind of stuff. Megan did a good job leading the group. I could tell that she was kind of struggling, like, reining in the group, because even me, like, Alex, like, me, other people, we would go off on tangents and, like, our own personal thing, and she kind of wanted to really relate it back to Temple and whether, like, Temple was helping us deal with our stress, and, like, she prepared an article. Yeah, we sat in a more private area, which I like more because there was less people and less foot traffic, even though people could hear us and see us. It's a little awkward. And then we did a mindful meditation at the end that she played from YouTube, which I think could have been cool, but we could hear it from her computer. She originally bought speakers, but they weren't working. And then there was a lot of foot traffic, and like people were looking at us, and we're all closing our eyes, and it was a little too long for me. So I was personally more frustrated with the meditation, but I think meditation, it takes practice. Overall, I feel a lot better about the group. I feel it's more cohesive. I still kind of get frustrated with Alex sometimes, but I think that just is our relationship, and I'm trying to just accept that for what it is. And yeah, I think it's going along well. I think I'm trying to think of any other processes that we have. We also talked about job prospects, and that was really encouraging because several of the members of the group, they had networking that I could potentially send out a resume. Like, I have experience with the autistic children, and they know positions open for mobile therapists. So that was kind of relieving of my stress by networking and talking about potential job opportunities. So yeah, I think Megan did a good job keeping it in the hour. Yeah, she did a good job trying to rein it back. I just think her personality isn't super assertive. Like, she's more quiet in class and stuff, but I think she did a good job asserting herself overall. I think it's interesting because I look at myself as a group member and see I do take over conversation, and I even noticed even more in my discharge planning groups at my internship, I tend to talk a lot instead of letting the patients talk. But then it's also hard because a lot of my patients are lower functioning, and more abstract ideas and practical things can be harder, and so sometimes patients are really talkative, so I just reflect what they're feeling and ask if any other group members feel that way and if they can elaborate on that. Whereas other times it's almost like pulling teeth, so I find myself talking more in those groups. So it just is interesting to see how much I talk in groups. I also noticed that when I get nervous, I can talk a lot in groups. And I think it has to do with the content of the group. I also do this thing with my face where, like, I'll touch my nose or, like, my chin when I start leading or I'm a little bit nervous. So that's something I'm becoming aware of in my group leadership. I know that's not directly related to this particular group, but even when I led my own group, I noticed that I was touching my face. So yeah, that was what I noticed for this group.